then, one of the things I love to do with tomatoes in the summer is to dry them and to make a salsa di pomodori secchi, or a dried tomato sauce that you can have all year long. And that starts with plum tomatoes, just like these, you see. And now you want to make sure when you're making a sauce like this that you have perfectly fresh tomatoes and ones that are unblemished. And then to make this sauce, you want to dry these tomatoes because that's what secchi means, to dry. And for plum tomato sauce like this, you start on a cookie sheet with fresh plum tomatoes that you cut in half and then place cut side down, just like that. And then put them in your oven and keep them on a low heat, about 150 degrees, or if you have a light in your oven, just leave the light on and let those tomatoes shrivel up until they're the consistency of a dried apricot. And they'll look something like this, you see? Here are our dried tomatoes now that are still bendable, but most of the moisture is out of them. So when you get it like that, well then you can preserve them. And I do that in a jar. I'm going to start with a perfectly clean jar, and then you see what I've started doing here is layering the tomatoes in the jar with some fresh basil leaves. And you want to make sure you're using fresh basil leaves for this, and then a little bit of salt. And you continue on like this with the tomatoes. And then, when you have that jar almost filled up, what you want to do is take some extra virgin olive oil and pour it in the jar, you see? And go all the way up and fill the jar, pressing on the tomatoes as you go and making sure that the tomatoes are underneath the oil at all times. Otherwise, if air gets in there, you could run the risk of having bacteria. Then you cap that, you put that away